But just imagine if you can't find the cause of the performance issue that's occurring or recurring in your team. Yeah. And you've checked, obviously, to see that it's not you. So in the same things that I mentioned before, it's always important to check yourself. You need to check that you are giving clear priorities to the team and to each member of the team. You need to make sure that you are supporting them regularly in how they're doing that without micromanaging them. You need to make sure, and it's a very difficult skill to learn, that their workloads are balanced correctly. That means knowing what they're doing without micromanaging again. Yeah, balancing workloads is an art. You need to make sure that they're working together as a team and collaborating well with other teams. If you are honestly doing all of that very well, which are the characteristics of a good enough manager, and there is still a serious dysfunction in your team, then what should you do? Make sure you understand the different roles of each member of your team well, and also the general working environment and the bigger picture priorities that are in motion. If you are a manager who has just arrived or just been promoted, or someone above you is new or just arrived, that's another thing to take into consideration. If you have new recruits on your team, yeah, all of that's very important to make sure that the roles are clear. Start with role understanding. Most job descriptions aren't clear enough for people, even for managers. And there's very little time, when you think about it, spent on explaining roles. People are sort of given a job description and then start. Now have a few briefings and then they start. Then have a conversation with each of your team member about their understanding of the role. The goal here is to make sure you and the person are on the same page about the role and how the role links to others and what the role's priorities are at the moment. If you do that, that will already make a huge difference, because a lot of people have to figure out themselves what their role is, and there's a lot of misunderstandings. Maybe I think that Susan's role is that, but maybe Susan thinks her role is something else, right? So I need to check. We need to get on the same page, as the saying goes. If that still doesn't work, then I would go to the next level, which would be to get their CVs, yeah, or something similar, and then sit down in a casual way and ask people about ask each team member by themselves about what they used to do and how. This doesn't mean sitting there with their CV in front of you and going through it. This means having kind of like a conversation, a casual conversation with you having looked at the CV before, and kind of talking to them about what they used to do in the past. Yeah? So it's very important to approach it this way, because if you approach it kind of like, well, what did you do before? It can kind of feel like an interrogation, and they might feel very nervous about what they say and they won't be transparent. What you're trying to get to here is what they know how to do well and what you can use on your team, right? So what they say and how they say it is much more important than what's written on some sort of paper. People do CVs differently for all different reasons. So the idea here is to be curious. You're trying to get a sense of their skill set and attitudes, and you're not trying to interrogate them or intimidate them. What you want to know is what they're capable of, what they've done in the past, because often people have knowledge, skills, and abilities that we don't know about that are very useful because we only think about them in their current roles. This is a mistake and very reductionist. Everybody has skills, everybody has abilities, and everybody has knowledge, and all of these things are valuable. As a competent manager, it is your job to know about everyone that you're managing and leverage their skills, abilities, knowledge for improved performance and motivating them. If you're not from the area, or if you're from another country or another region, take the time to understand the culture, the beliefs, and then mirror those cultural beliefs and cultural practices. Yeah, that doesn't mean you have to copy them. Not all cultures are comfortable examining their performance, right? So not all cultures are obsessed with introspection. So if you're coming from a different organization as well, or coming from a different post, or coming from a different level, go slow. Yeah, don't be in a rush to get to know your team or understand everything about them just because you're there for X amount of time. They're there for longer. Understanding what people need to perform well is the most important. And that tends to be some of these things. People work well when they feel valued. People work well when they have clarity on their role, when they understand the roles of others that they come into contact with or have to collaborate with, when they understand the role of their own managers, when they understand the organizational culture and mandate, when they understand clearly what the priorities are, the objectives on different levels, and don't just receive task instructions, when trust is being built with their manager, when they feel it is okay to make an error and that they can learn from it, they won't be punished, that they get frequently positive, credible feedback, that they have a manageable workload, that there is an optimal level of fluctuation between stress and pressure and calm, yeah, that they have a good enough manager, that they have healthy, realistic self-esteem that's built, that you work on their motivation, not their ambition, yeah, and that you create or you contribute to creating a learning, supportive environment. A good manager gives time with their team for the team to discuss, to clarify, to brainstorm, and even, yes, to protest. All of these things are human nature and are necessary. It's important. People perform well when they are a good fit for the job. Yeah, when they enjoy the job, when it's not too boring, but not too difficult. So as a manager, matching progression of demands and skills at the right speed is important. If you see that somebody's struggling, giving them even more work or more tasks to do is not going to help them. Right? And also, people perform well when there's fun and humor in the team and the working environment. Okay, so if you're the kind of manager that's always quite authoritarian and very serious, that's not going to be great for your team. It's not going to create the type of atmosphere you need. Yeah, your team needs to feel safe with you. Okay, so they need to feel safe to discuss things openly with you. If they're afraid of you or worried about their job stability or security, they will hide things. It's natural. Of course they will, if they feel threatened in any way. What you need as a manager is a team who are prepared to come to you and explain the problems that they're having. If not, you will be what we call a blind manager. You think you know what's going on, but you really don't.